Welcome. This video was designed to assist in the completion of the new CIP self-review in the Grant and Electronic Monitoring System, otherwise known as GEMS. Before you get started, you will want to check on a few key things. First, you will want to ensure that you have access to GEMS. To gain access, you will need your MEAS login and password. You will want to make sure that you can access files from your school if you are working on the CIP self-review elsewhere. Check with your administrator to see if he or she has a timeline for submitting certain pieces of evidence. It is a much easier process to add evidence in the CIP self-review over the course of the school year, rather than waiting until June. You will also want to locate the various resources and templates from the MDE website. Finally, please review the file types that you have for submission. PDF, Word, and Excel files are universal, but JPEGs and Google Docs do not work well in the system. Double check when converting documents to PDF that they convert the way that you would like them to be displayed. Now, let's get started with accessing GEMS. You will access GEMS through the link that is shown on the screen, the MDE CTE portal. You will need your MEAS login and password to do this. As you can see on the portal, there are three areas. One to submit your CIP self-review. Then there will be resources like the gap analysis, and there's also a spot for new program application. Click next to CIP self-review. And what you will see here is a page that looks exactly like the cover of the printout of the CIP self-review document. This shows administrator responsibilities, teacher responsibilities, and also has some links to resources. To get started, you will click over here under CTE user. When you get to this point, you're going to log in with your MEAS credentials. Enter your username, which is the first 6 letters of your last name, and then your password, and click Login. At this point, you will see that your information auto-generates into the program. Click on the type of user that you're a teacher, and select the CIP that you belong to. So you'll need to know that number. For the purposes of this, I'm going to pretend that I am a teacher in Detroit. And what you'll see once you pick up the CIP is that all of the buildings within the CIP will pull up with all of the CTE programs. If you teach in multiple buildings, you will be able to select that you work in multiple buildings. If you teach across multiple programs, you'll also be able to select that. I am going to select public safety at Pershing because that's one of my programs. And so I'm going to pretend that I teach this class. And there you go. I've clicked on it. If I also taught at Randolph, I could click there too. But I don't. I'm just going to pretend that I'm just at Pershing. And now I'm going to request that my CIP, Ms. Dana Hughes, lets me in. I could ask my building administrator to as well. So you want to make sure that you know how to request access. Once I requested access, I'm just simply going to wait until I have access before I can actually enter the program. When completing the CIP self-review, you will want to have certain resources handy. These resources can be accessed directly from the MDE website under Career and Technical Education, then Instructional Resources. This is the MDE website. And if you look on the very middle of the website, you see some resources right now for COVID. Whatever's current will show up in the middle. And then down the left-hand bar, you'll see Career and Technical Education. On the main page, you get a little synopsis of what our CTE unit looks like at the Michigan Department of Ed, along with current resources. But for the CIP self-review, you will want to click on Instructional Programs. At this point, you're going to see a multitude of resources that are particularly handy for teachers to access. At the top are teacher certification requirements, CTSOs, consultant information. And then as you work your way down, you will find a work-based learning manual. There are some toolkits for teachers under resources that are extremely handy, and you'll want those for the CIP self-review. And then, of course, the CIP self-review link. Under this link, you will see the form. The form is handy to have a printout of. You will also see all of the templates that are referenced as you're completing the CIP self-review form. And if you look on the right side, you will also see the Teacher Technical Toolkit and the Program Advisory Toolkit. And both of these things are extremely helpful to have. But when you click on the CIP self-review, you're going to get to this document right here. And this is the CIP self-review guidance document that you will want to have a printout of. On the CIP self-review guidance document that you want a printout of, you're going to see a layout that looks just like this. This is the first link that you saw on the CTE resource page, and this is what the front page of the document looks like. Again, when you go to GEMS, it looks very similar to this as well. Within this page, there are links for you to consult for continuous CTE program improvement. Here is the link to ACTE's High Quality CTE Program of Study, which much of the CIP self-review incorporates. You will find a wealth of information on this website. These links bring you to the GEMS page. So if you're having trouble accessing GEMS, you can simply open this document from the CTE page and access GEMS through the document. If you need assistance in validating your evidence, this link will get you to your MDE program consultant. Administrators and teachers each have different responsibilities when it pertains to the CIP self-review. An administrator will review at least 20% of his or her programs each year, with all programs having had a CIP review in a 5-year period. It is the responsibility of the teacher to keep his or her CIP self-review up to date annually, though. This includes attending CIP-specific professional development every year. Each criteria page of the CIP self-review has the same layout. You will see a number at the top of the page, and that is the criterion number, and it also has a title. There will be an explanation of the criteria, along with potential resources to guide your planning. At the bottom, you will notice citations to the various laws and policies that govern the CIP self-review. And of course, in the middle is the actual criteria for each section, along with the expected evidence that must be provided. Each teacher must have appropriate certification for their CIP area. When reviewing the CIP self-review, your certification will be verified through MOEX, as teacher certification is public record. There are 3 types of certification that are allowable: a traditional teacher certification, an annual career authorization, which is also known as an ACA, or a college instructor who is teaching on the college campus. If a college instructor is teaching on the college campus, in the case of some of our contracted CTE programs, then an ACA is not required. However, if the instructor is teaching at a tech center or high school, then they must have an ACA on file. Some instructors hold a license or industry certification for their CIP area. For example, a cosmetology teacher must have an additional license from LARA. Within GEMS, the only uploads necessary are when a teacher also holds an industry license or certification. If your name is not already pre-populated in the lead teacher line, then you would go ahead and type your name into that area. From there, select the type of certification. And if the person is a post-secondary instructor, you would type in the name of the college. If there are licenses or industry certifications to upload, simply click on the upload button. This will pull up a screen where you can drag and drop files. If there are additional teachers in the program, you would put them in. But again, you do not have to upload a teacher certification. You do not have to upload a copy of the ACA from MOEX. We are simply looking for industry certifications. If there are more than 2 teachers in the program, you would simply click on View or Add Additional Teachers, click here. Once you're done, hit Save. If you're just going to close out, go ahead and close it. Or if you're continuing on, you would simply hit the Next button. A big change with professional development under Perkins 5 is that each teacher in the program must complete annual professional development that is CIP or CTE specific. Professional development is defined by Perkins 5 as activities that are sustained, intensive, collaborative, job-embedded, data-driven, and classroom-focused. This professional development must be outside of what is provided during district-provided professional development. Please do not upload certificates of participation. Instead, we have provided a template for your use on the OCTE website. However, if you would prefer to upload your printout from MOEX, please be sure to indicate on that printout where the CTE-specific professional development is. If you receive sketches for your professional development, then that would be in MOEX. If you did not, then you might need to use our template. However, it's always a good idea to keep your own record of your professional development for your own personal verification. On the template, we ask for you to identify if the professional development took place at the regional, state, or national level. This will help administrators as they complete the Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment, or CLNA. An example of national professional development would be attending the ACTE Vision Conference in December. State professional development could be your Teacher Mentor Group State Conference or the Michigan Career Education Conference in January. Regional professional development might be something like a technology conference for IT teachers in the Metro Detroit area. There are 2 uploads within this section. One is the PD log, and the other is a printout of district-provided professional development, which is also referred to as DPDD. Again, this needs to be completed for each teacher. So the lead teacher will put the information in and then upload the evidences. Additional teachers would be listed down at the bottom. You'll notice that there's a verification on our downloads to make sure that you double check just to see that you've got everything that you need in that section. From there, you'll want to make sure that you save and then go to the next area. The key connection between your CTE program and business and industry is your advisory committee. A good advisory committee can provide advice and also be a key resource for equipment, work-based learning, and student support. The OCTE has provided an updated toolkit specifically for advisory committees. This toolkit has topics to discuss at meetings, how to take notes, and much more. It provides clear guidance and templates to support you when conducting your advisory meetings. Under Perkins 5, a special populations representative is a required member of the advisory committee. Guidance on this is available in the advisory toolkit. You will want to ensure that your special populations representative is a good match for the groups most represented in your program. There is a template for you to use under resources for your roster. Each required member is outlined on this template. The Office of Career and Technical Education does not require signatures, but they may be required by your local or regional administration, so it is important to check. We've provided resources for taking minutes. On something like this, you would take out the information that is in brackets and type in your own information. Our template is too big to fit on this page, so please be sure to consult our toolkit. There are 3 upload boxes for advisory committees. One is for roster, then meetings, and then for your facilities, equipment, material, and resource inventories. So you would simply upload in each area. Be sure to verify that your roster has all of the correct information. Make sure that your advisory committee meets the requirements. And same with your inventory list. From there, simply hit save, and then you can move on to the next section. Please note that as we move forward, that the section previously referred to as C10 has been split into multiple categories. Program delivery, CO4, references the things that take place in your CTE classroom. The gap analysis is the first piece of evidence in CO4. It is important that you use your gap analysis as a tool for continuous program improvement. Your instruction changes each year, sometimes based on circumstances outside of your control, sometimes based on circumstances within your control. And so it is expected that your gap analysis would change from year to year as well. When uploading your syllabus, please remember that there should be a syllabus for each course in the program. The instructional design has also changed slightly under Perkins 5, so it's important to use the new template that is on the CTE website. With safety training, the evidence needed in this section is the safety training that your students complete prior to beginning work-based learning, and any that they complete in the classroom with your guidance. This is the new template for instructional design. You'll notice that you can complete this entirely online, so there's no more need to print and then write and scan it back into the system. Here is a template for safety training. A well-organized and uploaded plan for safety is an important way to show how safety is a top priority in the program for your students. Having this completed by each class in the program, now you have a really nice record to reference when necessary. While there are 4 boxes for uploading, Please remember that each upload can accommodate multiple file uploads if necessary. So you will simply click on each upload box, double check, and download the files necessary for each section. Here within syllabus, you can put every syllabus for your program. And then for your safety training log. Again, make sure that you hit save or save and close, and then you'll go to the next section. You can also use this select bar at the top to jump from section to section within the CIP self-review. Work-based learning is a point of focus within Perkins 5, and now it has its own section in the CIP self-review. It is important to understand the legal definition of work-based learning, as well as how to transition students through the work-based learning continuum. Please consult the guidance on this area on the MDE website. In CO5, there are two areas for evidence. The first area is to identify what work-based learning took place within the program. Second, you will see work site-specific safety training. This is training that has been provided on the work site by the employer. It is important to have both a training plan and training agreement on file when students are away at their work sites. A good rule of thumb is that you want to have both of these on file whenever a student is out of your point of view and you are not directly supervising them. Also, keep in mind that not all programs will have on-site safety training to be uploaded into this section. Here is a template for work-based learning. And here is what that template would look like completed. You'll notice that the details are generalized in this example, painting a nice overview of what students can be a part of in their CTE programs. This information would be great to share with potential students and their families to promote your CTE program. There are two areas for upload and gems. It's important to reference the work-based learning guide as necessary, so we have a link to that there for you, explaining the continuum. From there, you would simply upload your template for work-based learning. And you would upload those samples of a safety plan and training agreement. We do not need one for every student, just samples. Hit save and then next. Student leadership is a co-curricular part of every CTE program. This leadership is embedded within instruction and within opportunities throughout the entire program. Please consult the Teacher Technical Toolkit for more guidance within this area. In similar fashion to work-based learning, we have provided a template to identify how students were exposed to leadership opportunities. You'll notice that there are 5 areas where a student may have been involved. Here is what that template looks like. And here we see the completion. It's important to note that your students will fall under various levels for leadership, and that's okay. Even a student who is at the individual level benefits from learning more about leadership. This would be more great information to share with potential students and their families to promote your CTE program. All you will need to upload in this section is the completed template. Just click on upload. There's also a link to the Teacher Technical Toolkit. You see the evidence listed again. Download your file, hit save, and you can move on. Equity and access is more inclusive under Perkins 5. You will notice that this area has been expanded to include gender, race and ethnicity, individuals with disabilities, economically disadvantaged families, non-traditional fields, single parents, including pregnant students, English language learners, homeless individuals, youth who are in or have aged out of the foster care system, and youth with a parent who is a member of the armed forces and is on active duty. Consult the Teacher Technical Toolkit for more guidance in this area. The criteria in CO7 has been updated for Perkins 5, but has not changed much. We do ask that if you decide to include photos, that you provide captions. A Word file is a great place to do this. If you prefer, we do have an assurance form that can be completed instead. It is important to also consider the diversity of and the languages spoken in the community when creating recruitment strategies. Remember that those materials are not just for students, they are also for families. Here is an example of the assurance form that can be found on the MDE page. You will have 3 uploads for the 3 criteria areas. And just as before, you will see the description at the top. There is a link to the toolkit right here that you can open up if you need guidance. And from there, you'll simply click on Upload, ensure that you have the appropriate evidence, download the files, and continue to work your way through. From there, simply hit save, and you can move on to the next section. The final section of the CIP self-review is CO8. Michigan has picked credentialing as a performance measure under Perkins 5. The percentage of CTE concentrators graduating from high school having attained a recognized post-secondary credential is an indicator of CTE program quality. This also supports Michigan's 60 by 30 goal. By 2030, 60% of working age Michiganders will have a certificate or college degree. Michigan will be a talent leader, fueling the future workforce and providing opportunity for all. In CO8, you will need to provide evidence for each criteria, which is a change from previously. We have provided more templates for this area, as well as a resource from careertech.org. We ask everyone to provide a secondary-postsecondary program of study. There is a template to keep track of approved Perkins 5 credentials. If your advisory committee recommends additional credentials for consideration, this is the area where you would provide that evidence. And finally, credit agreements that students utilize most must be uploaded. Here is an example of the credential template. When completed, you will see that the information is generalized, and you would place in the amount of students who are eligible. Sometimes age impacts the student's eligibility. You would also put in the number of students achieving. There are 4 questions or 4 uploads for this section, along with 3 reflection questions. It is important to our office to know where programs are having successes and challenges so we can best support you. This will help us to aid in the continuous program improvement process. So again, you will simply use your upload buttons upload your evidence. You might have multiple files for credit agreements because we're looking at what's used by students. And from there, you have 3 questions. What successes or best practices from your program regarding credentialing would you like to share? And in this section, you would want to write about your best moments. What worked for you? What would you share? And then any barriers or challenges that you encountered in your program. This could be anything. And then finally, what supports would be useful for your program in regards to credentialing in the future? How can we help you to be more successful? We hope that this video has helped you to complete the CIP self-review. As always, if you have questions along the way, you should contact your CTE program consultant or your administrators. Thank you for viewing.